going crap. Let me check my Starlink real quick. And let me see what we got. Because I turned it on a half hour ago, so I got a chance to capture as many satellites as possible. And it was recording just fine, but now it is literally dropping 50% of frames. This, guys, is why people are like, use Starlink. People tell me that for a couple years. Yeah, Starlink sucks. Like, for streaming, it's not good. I am literally dropping more frames, infinitely more frames now than I have when I try to do 1080p. And here's the kicker. Downlink right now on Starlink is 80. Uplink is 35. My upload speed is 35. I'm in the middle of an absolute desert, a 100% clear view of the sky. And right now, my upload bitrate is so bad, y'all probably can't even see the stream. This is insane. In fact, I'm going to go ahead to Starlink. I'm going to hit the thumbs down on the streaming video because holy crap, this is a terrible experience. Like, I don't even really want to get into the subject matter until it seems to stabilize. So right now it's stabilized. It's pushing out 6 megabyte per second, which it shouldn't have a problem doing at 33. 33! Come on, Starlink. We're paying a lot of money for this crap. Would you get your technology to work? I'm in the middle of a desert. It doesn't tell me our latency on the speed test. Let me run it one more time. Just double check. Yeah, see, it just dropped back down to 4 again, like 400 kbps. Dropped a bunch more frames. Yeah. Let's see if I have a millisecond readout. And this is the problem with Starlink is its download's really good. Its upload should be acceptable and perfectly fine. It just does not perform as it should. 25 millisecond test. Now, it did drop out last right when I tried to run that speed test. So we'll see what that looks like. Power draw, it's still drawing at 23 watts. I would expect it should be more than that. Oh, I got latency over here, 22, 23 milliseconds. That's actually in the statistics panel. Throughput, we have 0 to 2. And there's 3 outages and events in the last 34 minutes, but those are all, for whatever reason, it always logs your boot up time as being an outage, which is weird. So, I don't know. We will carry on. I will be recording the streams. The audio should sound fine, but, they expect there might be some buffering in the video feed as we go out. Like right now, it's stable. It's dropping down. But I think it might just be dependent on if anything at all calls for anything outside of OBS, it tends to mess it up. So I don't know. I'm curious if other people have had issues, or I'm wondering if it's just the fact that it's a Starlink mini dish and not the full size. But still, with 80 down and 30 up, I should not have a single problem at all. It's dropping down again. My apologies. We're just going to go ahead and carry on, and I'm not going to care. We're just going to go on and we'll kind of work with what we got. Anyway, if you want to help support the channel, have a look over at the supporter networks over here. So we have Subscribe Star, Patreon, and Locals is probably the best one over there. We have some affiliates as well, so if you want to help support the channel, you can do that. We're also running on like fairly low power mode. I pulled in a grand total of 900 watts of power today, and it's going to be extraordinarily cloudy and rainy for the next 2 days. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of crazy. So I don't know. I might actually have to drive some. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on into our main topics today. Our first main topic that I encountered was a fun situation of Google, where I can kind of get behind the big tech companies kind of doing this stuff because it's very interesting. And it showed me some things that I didn't know you could actually do in the law, but apparently you can. Very interesting indeed. So in this, Google sues a cyber criminal group behind the EasyPass USPS text phishing scams under the RICO statutes. I was like, Google can RICO? Turns out, yes! You can RICO a person civilly. Very interesting. Did not know that was part of the RICO law. But civil provisions allow private individuals and businesses to seek damages for harm caused by racketeering activities. So I guess if Chirafiton continues his coordinated campaign against me, I'll just RICO them all. Why not, right? Sounds kind of fun. But anyway, I can kind of get behind all of this approach here because in this instance here, what they're doing allegedly, and I'm like, well, how does this qualify for RICO? Well, because this is a giant Chinese hacking group over, obviously, in China, and they were using those Easy Pass scams, the Postal Service scams, and even using Google services. It's the fact that they are using Google services against Google's terms of service, which is what is causing them to do this, which is very interesting indeed. So they were preying on users' trust in reputable brands such as Easy Pass, U.S. Postal Service, and even us as Google, the general counsel at Google says. The Lighthouse Enterprise or software creates a bunch of templates in which you create fake websites to pull users' information. Texts usually contain malicious links to fake websites designed to steal victims' sensitive information, including social security numbers, bank credentials, and more. So the Alphabet-owned company said it had found more than 100 website templates generated by Lighthouse using Google's branding on sign-in screens to trick victims into thinking the sites were legitimate, and they found around 2,500 members of the syndicate corresponding with those on a public Telegram channel. So Google said that it was the first of these companies taking legal actions against SMS phishing scams, and additionally endorsing 3 bipartisan bills intended to protect fraud and cyber attacks. So we had some discussion about this last night, and people were like, well, yeah, but it's a bunch of Chinese people. Can they have anything? Don't forget, this is China. And if one of the biggest tech companies goes to Chinese government and says, hey, we have 2,500 people we're going to be suing for hacking activities in your country, I'm not even sure China is going to let Google take the case. We might just find 2,500 Chinese people disappear. It's like, you're going to cause problems for us? Oh, we can deal with that. Get in there with them Uyghurs or whatever we're doing with those guys over there, you know. And so this is actually brilliant. And I love this approach because it's one of those cases where big tech can use and wield its power in order to drive, in this case, good causes. Let's shut down a giant hacking group of 2,500 people by going after them with a massive corporation who unfortunately spies on everybody and knows exactly where and who everybody is. And then, of course, well, we're in China. We're outside your jurisdiction. Except China, Google has a few trump cards to play against the Chinese government to say, if you would like to continue to use our services and have information we collect on your citizens, you're going to help us with these 2,500 people. And I have a sneaky suspicion a lot of these guys are going to be gulagged pretty quick. I don't know. So that's kind of the case here. But this is an instance where the large company does have those resources. It's one of the same things I talked about in the Christian perspective with the churches. By and large, I don't think mega churches are a good thing for Christians in general, but you cannot deny that mega churches have the resources to do some really, really good big projects. And this is not the first time that we saw big tech take on annoying psychopaths and win. Of course, we did report on these ones with Cloudflare. Cloudflare, somebody tries to come against Cloudflare as one of these copyright trolls, and Sable found out really, really quick that Cloudflare's got a whole lot more money than a bunch of Better Call Saul little slimy lawyers, because Cloudflare ended up going through and smashing them so bad in court, they literally gave up and gave all their patents to the public. They're like, we're done. We're out. We can't do this anymore. So Cloudflare did successfully do this. And it's because these guys were, you know, if these guys go against small organizations, it's not a, you know, those people are just kind of forced to settle. But a big company's like, no, we're going to sit here. And they also know that A, they have the capability of winning. B, they have the money to win. And C, if they do win, that company they're going against is going to have to pay for Cloudflare or for Google's legal expenses. Good luck with that one. Talk about indentured servitude. Of course, we see the same thing going on. Was it last week or the week before? We talked about the uncouth film industry ended up suing Meta, and Meta's like, yeah, we're not settling. And I have a sneaky suspicion that we're probably going to see an end to, was that Crowd 3 or Strike 3? I think it was Strike 3 Holdings or whatever. I have a sneaky suspicion that Meta is going to crush Strike 3 Holdings. I have a sneaky suspicion that's the way that one's going to go. And so these are instances where we actually have a lot of really, really, really good uses of these big tech companies. So I really support this, and this might be the type of approach we need to do when we're talking about solving the scammer circumstance, because they keep doing the scams because it makes them money. Once they stop making money on that, they're going to stop doing that. And if it just turns out that you get snitched on to your crazy authoritarian government, and or you are gone after by one of the largest corporations in the world because you're engaging in slimy behavior, and you either disappear or end up having to pay millions and millions, if not billions of dollars, you're going to kind of stop. And so as we see all these scam emails, I think the one company I would love to see you go after these guys is Microsoft, because Microsoft's services are used in scams, I think, more than any other company. I have an Azure server in Ireland, which keeps on trying to mount attacks against one of my servers. All right, Microsoft, shut that crap off. You have the full capabilities of doing it. You can look down and go, oh, malicious activity, squish. But you don't. But here's the thing. If you did that and you utilize your services, it would cause a lot of forward grace in your community as people say, hey, at least Microsoft, for all the crazy they're doing, at least they're using their resources and stopping all these people that are scamming. But Google, of course, I like that Google's doing this, because more often than not, these scams that show up at the top of your search engines, they're using Google services. And I think everybody who uses a Google service to do any form of scamming, I think Google should just go after them pretty hard. You know, let's see what's going on. You know, obviously, good investigations. You know, is it a misunderstanding or is it a legit scam? If it's a legit scam, bury them. Just bury them legally, of course. And so I really do support this approach that Google is doing, suing them. And it'd be really cool if other organizations, anybody whose resources are being used to enable these scams, absolutely should be gone after by these big corporations. Because once it's no longer profitable to do this, that is the thing that makes the scams go away. So let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. All right, so we're going to jump on over. We have our next topic, might be a little bit bigger here. Let me get myself ready and have a little sip me of coffee. Of course, we are down to, wow, we're down to a lot of drop frames. 8,000 drop frames, 30% of the stream has been dropped. Thanks, Starlink, you're awesome. For our next topic here in our weekly news roundup, I want to talk about too much internet connectivity. And this was fun. I got the idea for this because we saw a couple cases come out this week. One of those is the Illuminate Education. They had a massive data breach of 5.1 million students. And it's like begging this question, why does this information need to be on the internet? Of course, we had the fun situation with the flock cameras up in Washington. Oh, government-funded cameras? I'd like to FOIA those. Sounds fun. And we also had an interesting case where cyber criminals are hijacking trucks and, basically Jesse James type stuff. Kind of fun fact, though, I went to visit one of the Jesse James memorials on my trip this time. The site of the very first train robbery. Kind of fun. But anyway, before we get into any of those articles, I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about, ways to stay private online and just some basic things. 7 things you should never share on the internet, and not the obvious ones like your address and social security number. I mean, obviously, remember that guy that had that the one anti-theft or like the identity protection type thing, who would post trucks with his social security number going around as part of his advertising. Yeah, until he was taken really bad. Whoops, bad bad marketing right there. Not sure that company's still around. But the first one they mention is your current or future location. Location data is a huge sale point, particularly, if you're like, hey, we're going on vacation, we're going to be out, it's going to be awesome, you're boasting all this kind of stuff. All those criminals are seeing that kind of stuff going, when were those dates again? I know a house to go to, and so it's very important to be cautious about your location data, whether that's being willingly sharing it on social media or passively sharing it by having location services turned on your phone while you're downloading shady apps that want to do nothing but collect your location data. Your kids' school or extracurricular activities. Obviously, this is an important one. You don't want, especially there's crazy people out there. And, one political commentator this week has had some bad threats, allegedly. And, the people basically sent apparently a lot of detailed information about where the children might be. Well, where'd that come from? I don't know, especially since he uses private internet access to keep all his data safe. Apparently not. But it is very serious. You do not want to publish information about your kids' schools or activities or things like that on the internet in this crazy world, because we have unhinged lunatics who would love nothing more than to hurt people that are close to you. Numbers on houses, apartments, or vehicles. Beautiful cat. I see you're at apartment or address 212. Then, of course, I can just, probably using a little bit of AI and Google Earth, I can identify exactly where this house is, especially being it's on Shutterstock, Location data on photos. We did talk about this a couple days ago. A lot of your phones by default will geotag your photos. So I always make sure whenever I'm setting up a new phone, I use Open Camera app. And I always go in there and make sure all geotagging of photos is turned off. Of course, we did talk about that's not enough in this day, because you can post photos and people can do reverse image searches on those and find out where you are even if you do not geotag it. So just be cautious about photos that could share useful information. Work or event badges, obviously if you're doing like event badges after you come back and you're doing a photo dump of all the cool things, that's generally okay to do. But if it's work, an event badge, because that's usually a one-time. If work badges, probably not as much. Photos of documents, those contain your signatures, and then people can hijack your signatures and sign stuff. Do have home title lock. Okay, and of course they mentioned names and such like that, stuff like that. This article here from security.org was actually nice. A guide to securing confidential personal data, both online and offline. We're not going to go through this in full detail, but there were just a lot of good little tips. There's some basic protection tips. Pay with cash when feasible. Don't forget all this credit card information is sold to Google and Facebook, even if you don't use them because they want to measure the effectiveness of their ads. It's a scandalous thing. It should be completely illegal. But yeah, Discover, MasterCard, Visa, they sell your credit card transaction history to these big tech companies. Use cash to buy gift cards to online stores. That's actually a good one. I do that frequently if I'm doing an online purchase through anywhere. Like I think I have an Amazon account set up, so I just use that. But for a lot of things, but if I'm buying anything anywhere other than Amazon, I am not going to trust most other sites' security. So I will just buy prepaid Visa cards and use those. Obviously, limiting information, protecting your accounts, share social security number only when absolutely necessary, things like that. Keeping your information as safe as possible online. Avoid listing your address, phone numbers, account number, social security, full name, of course. There's times when, unfortunately, in our world, we have to do that, but we're going to ask some questions about under what circumstances should we as a society start turning off some of these things. Like there are many services that wants this information and there's no reasonable cause they have to collect it. Obviously, only collect friend requests from people you know and trust. This is particularly important because of the fact that the social media companies like Facebook, just because you like, if I meet you and I like, oh, here's my phone number, or whatever else, or I've seen cases where I'm out at some business event and I'll hand out the my business cards, right? And then people like that, no real legitimate form of business, just take every one of those cards and dump them into their contact list. Of course, they dump that into Facebook or whoever else wants contacts. Now, Facebook has a name associated with me and a phone number associated with me, and I didn't give them that information. Again, that should be illegal because I did not consent to giving that data to Facebook. It should not be lawful for them to have it. It should not be lawful for them to collect any of that type of information on a person who does not want it. Obviously, avoid taking Facebook quizzes unless the term Cambridge Analytica doesn't mean anything to you. Just being aware of all those. There's some detail about each of those individual things. Here you go. Don't leave cell phones left unattended. Bank statements, of course, we're going to have a story about this soon, which is kind of fun. Bank statements, don't leave those out in the open. Computer passwords on the monitor of the desk. Obviously, a lot of these are really simple things. But the point is, now, here's the challenge. The challenge we have with all of these tips is these are things personally that you can do. The problem is we have a society that is so far removed from the importance of privacy, they think nothing about it. And I had a couple of breach type situations, and then I wanted to talk about some industries that we should protect more data on. Obviously, the first of those is student records. We should be protecting student records. There's no real legitimate reason your student records need to be on the internet. It's not like you have to log in at 3 a.m. to check your kids' grades. You know, go down to the school, make an appointment, or wait for the parent-teacher conference. You know, we need to go back to a circumstance where the kids would send a report card home with the kid, you know, the teacher sent it home with the kid, the parent needs to sign it, bring it back, make sure they've seen it, whatever else, you know. That's the type of approach we need to have. There is no legitimate reason we need to have all of this detailed information. We're talking about massive internet databases on some random cloud out there in the world, which has students' birth dates and social security numbers and full parent contacts and details about the parents and all of the psychological things people think about your kids as they're doing whatever and whatever and whatever, and then their grades, and then everything else, and then if it's on this thing, and then these companies here, of course, these third-party companies, which are, you know, providing the service to the school district, and they don't really secure them well because their whole thing is making money, and you know, you can make more profit if you skimp on your security. And turns out that Letitia James, together with counterparts in California and Connecticut, secured $5.1 million settlement from Illuminate Education, a company which provides software that tracks students' academic progress, faced a data breach exposing personal information, including the records of 1.7 million students in New York. It was a total of 5.1 million students in general. But the real question is, why on God's green earth do we have to have an online internet-connected database of all of this information on students? There is no reason. Now, if the school system would like to have some type of system inside the school that's all closed circuit, off, you know, air gapped from the internet, fine, whatever. But there's no reason we need to do this because it raises too many security concerns. In fact, years ago, I was working in an ed tech startup. Now, our ed tech startup, we had a division that was high school and we had a division that was college. I worked in the college division, and my only job as a scientist was to work directly with the college professors, showing them our software so that we could attempt to sell them on requiring that for their students. The problem here is that at that time, for whatever reason that was completely unnecessary, I had full access to the entire live student database, as well as every other contractor with the company, which basically, I think when I started working there, I think we were like 45 or 50 people. It was a couple hundred by the time it was ultimately sold. But I could go in at any time with my access. I could go in, I could see a student, I could see their social security number, their student ID, which usually is their social security number. I could see all of their grades. I could see other information about them that was entered into the database, all for the K through 12 kids that I didn't even work with. There was no earthly reason somebody like me had any need for any access of any of that. I didn't even really need the college student ones because all I was doing is interfacing directly with the college professor. I wasn't doing anything with any of that. I think they gave it access under the basis so we could show them how the gradebook system worked. Although I think they did it in a way that exposed the possibility of too much data. Now, that was a good, about 10, 15 years ago? 15? No, it was about 15 or so years ago. And so, you know, obviously it was, hopefully security's improved since then, but I highly doubt it. But there's no reason all that information needs to be on the internet. But that's kind of what happened in this case here. Of course, the flock safety cameras, this is another one that we do not need information on the internet. The absolute comings and goings of every single person throughout the country, cataloged not just by license plates, but also by the characteristics of your vehicle. Like, I'm really thinking about selling a portable magnet pack that you can just kind of throw things that look like bumper stickers on the back of your car. Like, every 3 or 4 days, you change them up to confuse the flock cameras. That sounds like a great idea. And if somebody wants to do it, just cut me in on a small percentage of the profits and I'm good, But that would be a fun thing to do. Just get some magnets put on the back that look like bumper stickers that you can easily take on, put off, move around, completely confuse, obfuscate the flock camera data. That's all you need to do. But this was a brilliant case here. We've all been trying to fight against them. Of course, Louis Rossmann successfully got them out of Austin. He's been working on a strategy to get them out. Well, this guy in Washington had a different approach. This was hilarious. He's like, oh, there are cameras with public funding. And he did a FOIA request of all of the information they had on a camera through like a 1 hour period of time. And the government comes back like, well, that's a lot of private information. He says, yeah, I'd like to see it. And so they had to go up into the court cases, and the court ultimately ruled, yep, you got to give up all the information. So now all the governments have been taking down their flock cameras and deleting their data because, oh, it's a privacy violation all of a sudden. Well done, sir. Well done. This is another type of thing we do not need on the internet, because even if it's working right and every person with legal, legitimate access has morality and integrity, even when that stuff happens, we run into a case where we hit that case where somebody can see way too much information that they don't have any business seeing. Even though Flock says, well, you can only see stuff on your group. Nah, that's not true. Their website tells you otherwise. Their sales guys tell you something different than their website does. And this actually shows us some facts as well as some of the cases. The problem is, some police flock access is for sale on the dark net, so hackers can buy it and access everything. We've had cases of people who are illegitimately using these databases. We've had people abusing the databases to follow, ex-family members and things like that. And these are serious fundamental problems. And this is the type of stuff that does not need to be on the internet. Hackers could get in there. Illegitimate people could get in there. Legitimate people who have low integrity and morality who are accessing it without any real reason could get in there. And that is certainly an issue. Now, this one here is one that I'm not sure if I have a way around it, but I'll mention it anyway here because it does bring up that antithesis that I'm not sure how I would solve this one. Students, easy. Don't put the kids' data up there. You can call your teacher. You can make an appointment with a teacher or whatever else. Kids' data doesn't need to be on there. I thought about banking data as well. If you want to access your banking information, it's got to be on the internet. Unfortunately, maybe we should have the option to say, yeah, I don't want that. And that would isolate yours, air gap yours from the internet. I don't know. There's questions about that. Health records. I understand the health records. We'll get into these in a minute. Let me talk about this case here. This was a fun one here because criminals are now hacking into logistics companies and simply rerouting truck shipments to fake businesses that they own. So it's like modern day train heists without stopping anybody. It's like, this is even better than the Breaking Bad train heist. Let's just stop the train and secretly steal the stuff and replace it with water, blah, 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 better than that. They're just basically getting in there. They are starting with a phishing attack, which loads a command and control server, allowing them Trojan access. Once they get into the access, they can see all of the logistics, like, hey, basically a company goes into these third-party services. It's all third-party services, and says, hey, I have a truckload of stuff it needs to get from here to here. Who wants to bid on it? So these guys will prop up a fake company, will bid on it, and then they win the bid because, they underbid it by whatever else. Then they capture the bid and the shipment never shows up because they have quote unquote won the bid as an illegitimate company hacking into the system. And then they've just driven off with an entire semi truck worth of stuff. And the driver doesn't even know. The driver's just told, go to this address. The hacker's like, yeah, send it to this address. All right. And these guys will drop off things to weird warehouses all over. They don't think twice about it. They don't know anything's going on. But the cyber criminals have now grabbed a whole bunch of stuff, stolen it all, and now they're going to ship it off, sell it, or whatever else they're going to do to make money. So when you find really good deals, you're probably propping these guys up. Now, I'm not sure exactly how I would solve this one with keeping information off the internet, but other industries, obviously, I was talking about banking. That's a hard one. Health records. We need to have a way to keep the health records offline and completely private. They should not have any internet access to health records. These companies leak data all the time. They are insecure all the time. Now, the problem we have to solve, and the ultimate reason health records have been made digitalized, is to better facilitate information. It prevents a person from doctor shopping to get multiple prescriptions from different doctors. So if on the old method, if I were some pillhead or something, I could go to 5 different doctors in town. And since there's no internet connected records, the 5 different doctors don't know that they're all treating me for an alleged migraine or whatever, and I just take those paper prescriptions and go out to 3 different pharmacies, and now I can get 3 times the prescription medications for either my own consumption or for sale. And that's one of the reasons we digitalize the health records. It's to make sure that people aren't doing that. So we need to solve that problem, but health records should not be on the internet. There is I'm not sure exactly what we can do there, but we got to find some way to keep health records off the internet. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or 2 ago, and that is churches. Churches are now oftentimes being sold these third-party services to manage your newsletters and contact lists, your membership services, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff should be offline. If you're at a church that uses one of these third-party services, get your church off of that crap. Get all that data deleted. Manage that in-house. For Lord's sake, it is not hard to manage a database of your members. You do not need to outsource that to a third party who, by and large, takes that information, sells it to data brokers, and makes a whole lot of money off of it. These are slimy companies that need to go down to the 8th pit of Dante's hell. Yes, 8th pit of Dante's hell doesn't exist, but that's how bad they are, okay? Jeez. Church contact lists. They should not be on the internet. You do not need that type of stuff. Your church does not necessitate putting all of your members' information all on the internet with all their kids and all their kids' birth dates and all these things just so you can send them an automated email. Woo! Happy birthday! Even though the secretary doesn't even know that's happened. Oh boy, I got to get off of that one. What else is on my list? So I think that's all of them. Oh, daycare information. We did cover that one a couple weeks ago too. A daycare company was breached. They had daycares in the United States, China, and India. There is no reason we need to have a pooled database of children's and their parents' information from 3 different continents on the internet together. Okay. Your child's daycare information should be kept in a locked filing cabinet in the daycare. Okay. This is not hard. Right. But you do need to make sure that we are protected from these types of online services because we put way too much information on the internet and it's entirely too bad of a thing. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments down below. All right, we will take a very brief comment break here, and then we are going to jump onto our QuickLines. Hey, we're down to only 28% dropped frames. That's pretty sweet. I actually have my Matrix server up over here, so let me see what we got over there going on. Let's see what we got. Uh-oh, the banhammer's over there. I don't see a lot going on over there. On Matrix. So let's check in on Rumble. 14 watching on Rumble. Got the Anchorage with XGUI4. Greetings to you. We got Dan's over there. Howdy, howdy. And what else we got? Frame rate is pretty bad. Yes, it is. Yep. AOL users. So, I was debating, I might stay here another week, so we might have to deal with this, bad frame rate next week, too. I don't know. Oh, it's still trying to pull more bit rate than it should. I don't know. Let's see. AOL users. There you go. Flash frame. Yep, that would be freeze frame. Yeah, freeze frame. For your eyes only. Only for you. There you go. SSN dude got pawned pretty good. Yep. I avoid taking Facebook quizzes by not having ever had a Facebook account. Yeah, there you go. It's a good way to not take Facebook quizzes. All right. But they email personal information too. You can hang a network cable into any land drop and get IP to do a TCP dump, Wireshark, and all the base belong to you. Yep. You know the difference between a hacker and a cracker? Oh, wait, never mind. Oh, dear. Okay. Hacker is a person who uses a device for something other than it's intended. A cracker is one who breaks in a computer network. Yes. All right. Let's see. 10 currently watching on Odyssey. We're having Odyssey, this guy. Let's see what else. See what dumpster fires over here. Odyssey seems to be our place for dumpster fires. Solar storm is still going on. It might be. Who knows? Although this is we always tend to have this response with Starlink. I don't know. Yeah, it is Starlink. Yeah. Okay. Most recent CME X5 5.1 flares forecast to reach Earth on November 12th. That was yesterday. Yes. Could have an effect on Starlink. Yeah. Sound is good coming through. Yep. Okay. First time here. Just want to say hi. Well, hello, Elo Swirls 9. Greetings. Okay. Can enforce any judgment against the Chinese firm, or does it just have to do with your jurisdiction? Well, I think that, in my opinion on that one, is that when Google goes into China and says we're having some problems with people and it's going to cause a giant legal battle, I think China will probably resolve its problem. Flock seems pretty... Oh, yeah, Flock is one of the shadiest companies we have right now. If ever we need to resurrect Anonymous, it would be now. Okay. And let's see, we got 44 watching on Z2Bs over here. What we got? The Anchorage over there. Hello, Error 42, Commodore fan. Greetings. And Night of Light, hello to you. I've not owned a monitor that can do more than 75 hertz for a while. There you go, yeah. I keep mine on 60. I don't care. I'm pretty boring. Fresh Vintage here. Greetings. Happy Thursday. Yeah, in fact, we're going to have a stream day off or move it around in a couple weeks here for that Happy Turkey Day or whatever. Okay, took some stuff to Second and Charles Tuesday. Old and Television, Dreamcast, Wii, etc. Got 250 for tonight. Not too bad, man. Awesome. Because it's third party or carrying cases in brand new conditions. Let's see. But I'm down at 2240p. That should fix it. Oh yeah, that's why I usually run Verizon. I'm just in this nice little canyon, and it's cellular just doesn't work as well out here. Solar flare hitting the Earth right now. No, it's likely not the solar flare. Every single time I've used Starlink, we've had a lot of drop frames. It seems to have stabilized itself now. I haven't seen drop frames in a little bit. Right now we're at 27% drop frames. No, never mind. I spoke too soon. It just dropped down to 283 again. Whoever tried NixOS? Yeah, I've used it. I am not a fan. I think it kind of sucks. What is interesting is that Google Mess is a LLC, yet controls so much. Yep. Limited liability? No, unlimited liability company. There you go. It's a ULC. There you go. And we got any thoughts on the Valve hardware announcements? Nope. Didn't even look into it. I think QPC is going to be interesting for normies who are fed up with MS. Yeah. And let's see, heard they're opening up CAD files for the case of the Steam machine, which is always awesome. There you go. Okay. Neutral about RGB, like the lights. I mean, I kind of like RGBT colorations. I just don't like RGBT, softly placed all over my programs. I think it looks like a unicorn came by and took a dump. But, a nice little RGB like that. I like that. That's kind of nice. Let's see. Purchase case of the new Raspberry Pi. It came with the Unicorn Vomit RGB fans, which I don't know. I do like RGBs in computers, although my computer is just solid red LEDs. It doesn't have any colorations or anything. And I think the only lights the only processor fans I have with lights are all just white lights. Okay, let's see. How can I make a VirtualBox on Hyperland dark mode? Not sure. Let's see. Personal info is always important to keep safe, but in general, I wish for more internet connectivity in places like Gambia, where it's hard to afford access by inflated mobile data prices and monopoly. Yep. Greece shouldn't be allowed to share your contact list like that. Yeah. Doesn't Facebook have some kind of terms that says that by giving them phone numbers, they assure you've gotten permission of the person? Probably, but can you enforce that on somebody? Probably not. And will Facebook do anything? Probably not. Dude, we can't even get Facebook to respond to us that somebody else apparently has an administrative control over one of our business accounts for one of my clients. We have been dealing with them now for 6 weeks, and we are getting AI responses. We're like, we need a phone call to clear this up because clearly you're not reading our emails. And then they keep on trying to randomly call at 12:30 a.m. Like, what is wrong with the people at Facebook? They are either their AI has gone insane or they're hiring the stupidest morons on the face of the planet. And I'm not sure which. Or they've trained their AIs on the stupidest morons on the face of the planet. We'll have it sucked up. So like, yes, call us at this specific time. Great. It is scheduled. Sorry, we missed your call. Can we call you now? It's 1 a.m. It's like... Insanity. All right. We're going to jump on over to QuickLines. Moving through the show fast tonight. First up in QuickLines, Ryanair, this is a EU airline, is now eliminating paper boarding passes, forcing you to download the mobile app. Now, they actually do have means. If you don't have a smartphone, you can go in and there is I have it highlighted at the bottom. We'll get to it. But they're trying to force users to download the mobile app by eliminating paper boarding passes. And the digital-only passes, meaning customers will no longer be able to print physical ones. And they say almost 100% of passengers have smartphones, and we want to make a move. We want to move everybody onto the smartphone technology. Why? Well, so that they can upsell a bunch of stuff. If you're 100% doing everything through the app, you can upsell the gross cheeseburger they have going around, or the extra baggage claims, or extra fees, or whatever else. So there's a lot of different things that you can do if you are if you have the smartphone app, so that you can constantly push upsell notifications, not to mention spy and all the other kind of fun stuff. So customers are encouraged to check in online via the app before getting to the airport. Those who don't check in online will have to pay the airport check-in fee. It's like $72 to pay the check-in fee. So anyone who shows up having not checked in before they get to the airport, either they're stupid or they've just ignored our email instructions. That's a statement from the CEO. So I'd highly encourage you, do not fly on this airline unless you absolutely have to. Their move to 100% digital boarding passes from November 12th allows other key ticket industries like follows them, like festivals, music, and sports events, which have successfully switched to digital-only ticketing. That's frightening. I guess I won't be going to any of those anytime soon. It also meant to get people to do more with the app, like order foods and drinks or view real-time flight information and receive notifications. Oh, wonderful. Inconvenience for preparing for takeoff. And many future customers, especially those who don't fly with Ryanair frequently or who don't fly much at all, may be unaware of the change, creating confusion during travel, which can already be inherently stressful. And people who are less tech savvy or don't have a smart device, or whose device has died, won't be completely out of luck. They say they will accommodate people without access to a smartphone with a free of charge boarding pass at the airport if they've checked in online before arriving at the airport. So you still have to check in online. Then you get to the airport, and then they'll give you a boarding pass, even though they don't take paper boarding air passes anymore. Okay. I did, of course, want to see what's this app all about. As far as their data collects device ID, app activity, including other installed apps, data shared, analytics, personalization. Here's views, user payment information, personal information, email addresses, user IDs, address, phone number. And then, of course, they have all the information there. What other information does it collect? Device or other IDs, app info and performances, photos and videos, app activity, financial information, personal information, files and documents. And, of course, these two, I've never seen any app that says, no, nothing we transmit is encrypted and you can't delete any of it. I've never seen an app that tells me anything differently than those. So, yeah, it's just an app. It has a bunch of spyware crap in it, and what else would you expect? But there you have it. Anybody up there in Canada, digital identification is now becoming a thing for federal benefit seekers. So Canadian government will move ahead with the digital identification for anyone seeking federal benefits, including seniors on old age security. Man, they're brutal with their term. I mean, elder care, that's what we call it. Canada? Nope, it's old age security. You're old. Get over it. Back in my day. All right. The note did not give specific details about how the information would be used across government services. However, the recent message comes only a few months after the government hired consultants to investigate a digital ID system. Now, this one here at this time is optional. You do not have to have it. And it is used for the individual validating yourself on various government services. Voluntary will not replace existing in-person mail or telephone-based services. So I talked to one of our supporters that has digital IDs in their country, and it said, as long as you're using it for certain things, he doesn't see a problem with it. I'm not sure I can get on board with that, because the problem with the digital ID is it provides a centralized location that if they want to cut you off, they can just instantly cut you off. And this is significant because Canada just tried to do that. Remember that whole trucker convoy? Hey, everyone involved, no more banking for you. And so it caused serious concerns with the fact that they were also trying to do a central digital currency as well. Well, that was kind of problematic because, and literally, if you actually followed any of this trucker protest that was going on, it was the most peaceful thing you'd ever see. This is the time that here in America, we had fiery but mostly peaceful protests by which people were burning down cities. And they were literally having street parties, helping each other out and leaving things really clean. And obviously there was some noise because it was a protest, but it was safe. It was clean. And they were making their point across, and the government says, I don't agree with your politics, and simply shut them off. Well, that's the same country that is now pushing digital IDs. Once you have a digital ID system in place, the next step is to force it to be used instead of making it voluntary. And then if you fall out of line, they could just cut you off. I mean, just think about the whole EBT crisis and this government shutdown. Well, the first thing it showed us is that there is so much abuse on the EBT program, it's probably cheaper to just completely destroy the thing and maybe rebuild it. Well, there are certainly people that need that. It seems to me that the overwhelming amount of people on it do not need to be on it, especially since I did hear today the statistics that the average person on EBT, the average woman on EBT in this country is 211 pounds, which is into the obesity range for women. And so obviously they're not starving to death. Maybe a little bit of EBT deletion there might actually bring you down into a healthy level. And 10% of what's bought on EBT is soft drinks, which is not supplemental nutrition. It is nutritionless garbage. And so the challenge we have here, though, is that we had a government shutdown where the EBT system ran out of money. And when the EBT system ran out of money, a whole bunch of people were not getting the money that they had planned on. Well, what happens when you just are forced to be in the system because, AI stole all of our jobs. And so, that's the universal basic income type stuff. This is what you get, your EBT card for your universal basic income, brought to you this month by OpenAI. And you fall out of line with the corporate talking points of the nation, kind of like, many of us did when we were 100% right during the Kofi crap. And then they just decide to cut you off because you're outside of the public narrative. That's exactly what the Bible describes is going to happen at the end of times. So good luck with it. I'm not sure I really want anything to do with that. All right. Fake capture sites now include tutorial videos to help victims install the malware. That's neat. Kind of cool. So you're going onto a fake capture site and you're like, man, these captures are getting kind of crazy. And so now the cyber criminals, basically, they ran out and did some A/B testing. They wanted to figure out which malware was most likely to work. And so they did this click fix, which is the new one, which is the CAPTCHA, or the more traditional file download that disguises malware as useful applications. So the criminals decided to go with the click fix because they soon came up with a campaign that also targeted Mac users to spread the atomic stealer. And the attackers behind ClickFix have tried to make the campaigns more user-friendly, and the latest fake CAPTCHA page includes embedded video tutorials showing exactly how to run the malicious code. But here's the problem with this, is we've been so conditioned to these CAPTCHAs that we don't think a lot about it anymore. It's kind of the same thing. We've programmed children to enter absolutely everything into whatever form by making them do all these forms and all of these apps in school. And that raises some serious problems. And so we are so conditioned, oh, a CAPTCHA, I guess I just have to do it. These are getting crazy. Yeah, and so they do a lot of neat things. One thing they do is there's a timer on it, so it forces you to push through it to solve the CAPTCHA rather than think about what you're actually doing. And then basically what this one's going to do is it makes you copy in the code and then run. The Windows version would have you push Windows R, which runs the command prompt, and Control V and hit enter. Well, you basically, without knowing what you're doing, you opened a PowerShell, you pasted in a script that installs the malware. That's kind of what they were doing. And of course, most of these pages spread through SEO poison Google search results. So, hey, if they're Google ads, maybe Google can sue them too in the RICO. But if they're just using the gamed SEO, I don't know, it's a harder case to make. So there you go. Your CAPTCHA, fake CAPTCHA site spreading malware will now give you video tutorials on how to install your malware. It's good stuff. Now, of course, we did talk about a couple weeks ago briefly, the iPhone theft is a big problem. We talked about it where somebody tracked down their iPhone and it led the police to a warehouse where they found, was it like 40,000 phones, or was it like $40,000? It was a lot of phones. They found a lot of phones that were all going to China. And of course, in China, they would, do fun stuff like this to try and get the phones unlocked. So the Find My Phone feature, even if the phone's turned off, it still works because the phone always emits some level of Bluetooth frequency broadcasting the ID, allowing you to get in there, and the phone will broadcast its location to any other Apple device in its vicinity that can connect to the internet and report that code back. It's a brilliant system, brilliant idea. The problem here is that people lose their phone and now they're like, oh, I got to get my phone back. And so what these guys were doing here is they were using phishing on the phones that they had stolen to get you to provide your ID, which then allowed them to open your phone and remove you from the phone. So all these phones are like, well, all these phones, they're just stolen phones. They won't work. They're locked. Nah, they're just being sent out to phishing farms. And so Switzerland NCSC warns iPhone users of a new scam exploiting lost devices to steal Apple credentials through fake Find My Phone messages. These are hijacking Apple credentials from the stolen devices, and they're doing it through search results. So they exploit it by sending fake emails or texts that look like they're from Apple support, complete with links claiming to show your phone's location, which you will very likely fall for if you've lost your phone. you're not thinking clearly, you get an email, you're expecting an email from Apple, they open it up, it looks like it's from Apple, and the scammers will send a phishing email or SMS disguised as a message from Apple's Find My Phone support team with a link that claims to show the device's current location. Of course, then you have to fill in the credentials, in which case they have now unlocked your phone. Whoops. So there you have it, folks. Oh boy. Google is now sending this alarm to us. I've said it, AI is going to kill us. Of course, in the whole Terminator series, it becomes self-aware. In 9, the AI machines start building their own machines. Now Google finds malware that modifies itself using AI. So the malware gets installed, and then it calls the API credentials. It modifies itself to avoid detection, and then continues to spread itself. I mean, this is like, we've reached like peak biological warfare here on the digital code. I mean, the AI is rewriting itself because it knows it's malware and it rewrites itself. Fun. New generation of malware that is using AI during execution to mutate, adapt, and collect data in real time, helping it evade detection more effectively. Tools dynamically generate malicious scripts, obfuscate their own code to evade detection, and leverage AI models to create malicious functions on demand rather than hard coding them into the malware itself. How wonderful. So there you have it, guys. State sponsored, of course, over there in China. And of course, a lot of these things are working with, they're using the Quen 2.5 via Hugging Face. They're basically using stolen API tokens. So API tokens, folks. There you have it. Wikipedia, of course, they've been yelling at people inside of your, they've been yelling at everybody inside of their, system for a while. The AI companies for scraping all the things are saying it's causing a decrease in their views and things like that. So now they've actually come up to say, hey, you're no longer allowed to scrape our stuff, but you can utilize our paid API, and that'll allow you to legally collect our information. Now, you might say on the surface, well, why would any AI company want to do that? They can just keep scraping it. What this actually does, though, is it provides Wikipedia a legal means to sue, because they say, hey, they are scraping it without paying us while we have a paid API option that they can do. And that really is the fundamental challenge here. That's ultimately what's behind this. Will AI companies voluntarily do this? Only if they're threatening getting sued by the Wikimedia Foundation. And that, honestly, though, this is a good move for Wikipedia because it does open up the possibility to say, yes, they are officially stealing our content because our content is for human eyes, not AI scrapers. We've made this clear, and we have provided a means by which they can legally access our data. And if they're choosing not to take it, well, they're choosing not to take it, and therefore they have entered into piracy realm. So this is actually a brilliant move on Wikipedia's approach here, but looking at the details here, it's they're calling on AI developers to use its content responsibly by ensuring its contributions are properly attributed and that content is accessed through its paid product. This allows the companies to use Wikipedia's content at scale without severely taxing the servers. And the AI bots had been scraping the site while trying to appear to be human. And that was one of the fundamental problems. They said, hey, bots aren't allowed over here. And groups like Perplexity had allegedly, according to Cloudflare, bypassed that to make themselves look human when they find a website that says we don't want AI bots scraping it. Of course, Perplexity said, no, that's not the case, blah, blah, blah. But Perplexity is one of the shadiest AI companies there is, so I'm not sure who to believe there. I'd probably trust Cloudflare. At least they do positive things like the world, like taking on copyright trolls, rather than Perplexity, which basically is just a data whore. All right, so Wikipedia is laying out its guidelines for AI developers and providers, saying that generative AI developers should provide attribution to give credit to the human contributors whose content it uses to create outputs. Effectively, though, this creates a means for them to sue any AI company which is scraping their data. So this is actually a brilliant move. Well, we no longer care for the planet. Sorry, F-150 Lightning. Discussions are happening in the wake of Ford's late October decision to idle F-150 Lightning production while it prioritizes hybrid gas engine versions. They kind of said they would start selling these in 2021 at 40,000, but it ended up being a whole lot more than that. It's been one of the top-selling electric trucks in the United States, but they still struggle to sell more than a few thousand of them per quarter. And, of course, a lot of this is because, well, A, electric vehicles for this type of load, by and large, kind of suck for the most part. But B, we're no longer like, oh, climate's going to kill us, we're going to melt. Now, by the way, did you guys notice, did you guys see they're now predicting an ice age again? So we've all survived climate. We've survived global warming. Well, the 70s people, you guys older in the audience, you survived the first ice age. And then my generation survived global warming, and now we're going back to the ice age again. So these people are just insane. Okay, electric trucks are not going to solve. In fact, these are worse for emissions. Okay, they really are. Like, yeah, they have lesser emissions while you're driving around. It's just that the production, the batteries, and the electricity to charge them, not particularly green. So if you like the electric, enjoy it. But this whole idea that our country is going to force everybody to drive electric vehicles is utter nonsense. Yes, they sell a lot better in Europe because in Europe, things are a lot closer. Like, okay, I am in a place right now that from the distance it takes me to drive from here to, I don't even know, just the state line. Okay, I'd cross 4 small countries in Europe, okay? The nearest city where I'm at is 15 miles away. By the Crow, I think there's one slightly closer by Crow, but to get on the roads is a 40-minute drive, all right? Yeah, electric does just not work out here, particularly if you do not want to live in a city. So goodbye, Ford F-150 Lightning. It's not been nice knowing you. Google is now selling a new AI compute cloud they claim is just as private as doing it locally. I believe that. Current mission is to weave generative AI into as many products as it can, getting everyone accustomed to it and maybe even dependent on working with confabulatory robots. Google's claims its new secure cloud environment will power better AI experiences without sacrificing your privacy. Basically, they say that on these systems that you're using, absolutely nothing goes anywhere else, is 100% privately yours. No one will see it, not even them. I'm going to call Balderdash based on what we're going to see in our SillyVille, and I will explain more in a bit. All right. But theoretically means no one else, not even Google itself, can access your data. Google says independent analysis by NCC Group shows that private AI compute meets its strict privacy guidelines. And then they talk a little bit about edge versus cloud. Of course, the edge is, are you working on stuff in your device versus the cloud is working on stuff out, up in the internet without actually going through the internet first. So, and this is the challenge. Google wants to have a system that will allow you to basically work as if you're doing your modeling locally, but it is utilizing their cloud services, and they absolutely insist that it has the same privacy, the same security. No one will see it, not even us, and I'm calling Balderdash. But for why, you'll have to stick around for the SillyVille. Well, if you were thinking about buying a Hyundai, probably think again. Of course, this does relate to the EV version, but still, as long as they're doing this nonsense, I wouldn't buy anything from this sleazy company. So this guy here is just your average kind of guy, kind of like me. I do my brake jobs. I do my oil changes. Well, I don't do my oil changes as much because in the van, usually it's like, you need an oil change. I'm in the middle of a desert somewhere. So I just drive to the nearest town, get the oil change, nearest instant oil. But when I had my apartments, I did my own brake jobs. I do my own oil changes. I do all that kind of stuff myself. You know, some of it is I just don't trust the other guys, the other mechanics. Some of it is it's just infinitely cheaper and like, brake jobs, oh my, I would never do my brakes. You know, realize that the brakes are the most marked up thing. I think so. Fresh Vintage, if you're still here, you can tell us for sure. But I think brakes are the most marked up service on your car because everyone's terrible. I won't touch my brakes. I might change my, I'll never touch my, dude, changing your brake pads is like the easiest thing to do on a car. It's like in many ways easier than an oil change. All right. But in this case here, this guy wanted to tackle changing his own brake pads, and he found he couldn't do that. Even after buying up his, the specific software that allows him to do it. It was kind of funny. So it's declaring war on his and your rights to do your repair. So what did he do? He set out to replace his rear brake pad, something he's done countless times before on other vehicles. Soon discovered the automaker's diagnostic tools had other plans. The rear brake pads are affected by the electric parking brake. To replace them, one must disengage the brake and to get it to completely retract. Otherwise, the new pads will not fit. All right. And so the owner says, now, of course, you can do this by using the J2534 diagnostic tool, a Windows-based application, you scumbags. The owners say the software requires a $60 weekly subscription, a $2,000+ approved hardware adapter, and a constant internet connection for authentication. However, even if you pay all that, you still can't use it. I broke down, bought the subscription and the special adapter. He wrote, guess what? It still didn't work. Only later did they find out why. My blood is boiling at the moment. NASTF has blocked my account saying DIYers are not permitted access. So he literally paid thousands of dollars for the equipment to do the very thing. And you say, nope, can't do it. I'm sorry. This is a lawsuit. Okay. Included a photo of a message from NASTF that says in part, please provide your business name and 9-digit federal employer identification number. DIYers are not permitted access. Do not, I repeat, do not buy Hyundais. Do not. Nope. So, by the way, he says, in irony, the Hyundai dealers don't even use the Windows tool. They have an entirely different Android-based software suite that works seamlessly. But when basic wear items like brake pads require proprietary authentication, the argument takes on a new urgency. All right. So Hyundai tells us it's looking into the situation and will report back once it has figured out a logical reason to explain the stupidity. But don't buy Hyundai, guys. Don't buy Hyundai. All right. This one, if you caught my video last Saturday, we looked at the scam and spam emails. This is good because this actually explains what's behind the links on a couple of those emails I showed. Phishing emails disguised as spam filter alerts are stealing logins. Goal is to lure you to a phishing site that steals login credentials that could unlock your email, cloud storage, and other personal accounts. All right. And so looking at what's going on here, you know, this is kind of, I didn't receive this exact one, but I've received other ones very much like it. So basically you click on this, the move to inbox button and the unsubscribe link, both go to the phishing site, of course. That's something I showed in my video. And here they look at the actual code. Phishing site's code is heavily obfuscated and credentials are harvested using a WebSocket. So what this means is when you turn this on, when the WebSocket turns on here, it will constantly be staying in the background and it will intercept any other credentials that go on during that browser session. So you'd have to shut your whole computer down in order to get this to stop. So just beware, if you click on this, everything else you do on your computer is going to send your data up. So there is what they're doing. Let's see if I don't think I had anything else on that one. So there you go. There is your fun facts there. And with that, we're going to jump on over to SillyVille, which only have 2 articles here. And the first one's not even really tech. And the second one's insane. This is dark tech, guys. The first says, though, that Alaska prosecutes the Knights of Knee. Medicaid fraud. That's right. You must bring us several Medicaid checks. There you go. So, yes, there is actually a group called the Knights of Knee in Alaska. They're facing several felony charges, over $500,000 in Medicaid fraud. Yes, they were named for it. Effectively, they were stealing some money. They were billing some things inappropriately. And it all kind of started when the guy was actually engaging in naughty behavior, horizontal behavior, with one of the clients. And this raised some questions that caused an investigation, which led to a whole lot of other weird forms of misconduct. And now the Knights Who Say Knee are being sued by the Alaskan government. I didn't see the end of that one in the Holy Grail, but let me know. Let's see. And our last one. Okay, this is another one of those ones I really got to be sensitive on how to do it, but I kind of wanted to cover this one. So tech companies, Guardian, you are so annoying. Tech companies and UK child safety agencies to test tools' ability to create CSAM. A whole lot of people need to have their hard drive checked. All right. New law allows technology to be examined and ensure tools have safeguards to stop the creation of CSAM. Tech companies and child protection agencies will be given the power to test whether artificial intelligence tools can produce CSAM under a new UK law. The government will give designated AI companies and child safety organizations permission to examine AI models, the underlying technology for chatbots such as ChatGPT and image generators such as Google's VO3, and ensure they have safeguards to prevent them from creating CSAM. Changes have been introduced because it is illegal to create and possess been introduced because it's illegal to create and possess CSAM, meaning that AI developers and others cannot create such images as part of a testing regime. And they basically said this because what they said here, now remember, this law is to test if it will work, yet they say is made after the watchdog revealed reports of AI-generated CSAM having more than doubled from 199 to 426 in 1 year. So clearly, it works. Now we have it codified into a law run by a royal family that had a person at Epstein Island for a while, I will note, allowed to generate CSAM. Okay. Now, let's return to that Google article. Whatever you do in our cloud is completely private. I bet. What is going on? Of course, here's one of their pieces of propaganda. This week, Narian visited a London-based childline, a helpline for children, listened to a mock-up of a call of counselors featuring a report of AI abuse. So the AI is now abusing the kid. Okay? First it writes its malicious code, now it's abusing our children. Can we end AI yet? The call portrayed a teenager seeking help after he had been blackmailed by a sexualized deepfake of himself constructed using AI. I don't even know what's going on here. So the AI is blackmailing him after deepfaking him. So we have to pass a law to test how this stuff works, to see how it works. Does it work? Even though we know it seems to work. Something's going on here, folks. Something's going on here. Carrie Smith, chief executive of Internet Watch Foundation, said the law change could be a vital step to make sure AI products are safe before they are released. I don't think they're ever going to be safe. AR harms mentioned in the conversation include using AI to rate weight, body, and looks, chatbots dissuading children from talking to safe adults about abuse, being bullied online with AI-generated content, and online blackmail using AI-faked images. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, yeah. So I don't know what's going on over there, but crazy stuff is going on in the UK, and I don't know. That's so terrifying. I think we just need to find a couple kitty cats here and feed the beasts. So let me find a kitty cat or two. Hey, kitties. Hey, kitties. Yeah, come on, buddies. Come on, kitty. Come on, buddy. Come on. Oh, there's a cat. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come on. All right, the beasts have been fed. I have seen, like, since we stopped, I've had like 5 YouTube comments. Are people really not talking over there, or did something weird go wrong on the stream? I know weird stuff's been going on, so let's see. All right, on Rumble, there's activity over there. 14 on Rumble. I didn't mark where I was, though, on Rumble. Let's see. Who was in the chat? Recommended Ungoogled Chromium last week before. I'm on it now. Easy install. Awesome. Yep. Vietnam War was mostly peaceful. Yeah. Cats are into meowware. That's right. Beatings will continue until morale improves. That's what Target employees are saying right now. You guys see those policies from Target? You walk into a Target now, and if you're within 10 feet of a customer, they have to smile. The employees have to smile at you. If you're in 4 feet of a customer, they have to ask you either, how is your day going, or do you need help with something? Oh, Lord. Please, Target employees, leave me alone. But yes, and by the way, that happened after Target laid off a bunch of people. So smile or you're next. Any women at the stoning? Which stoning? All right. Change the VPN location and it smoothed out a little bit. Yeah, well, it's dropping a lot of frames because we're on Starlink and Starlink sucks. All right, let's see what we got over here. Spy AI malware coming. That's right. Skynet AI. There you go. Come out from timeout, and that's the first thing you say. Please, I am none of those. I'm straight, male, French, manfleet. Thank you. Now, please behave and be civil. Yes, my banhammer will get you. Let's see. I'm Ren and Stimpy heading north into Canada. Be a wiener baron. Well, don't forget to sing that Yak song that was on the Ren and Stimpy album. Anybody else remember the Ren and Stimpy album? I think I still have it on cassette somewhere. When are we expecting 22.3 to be released? I don't know. Being that LMDE 7 just came out, I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm thinking before the end of... Well, I haven't actually seen a ton of development going on it yet. Usually they sit in beta for a while. And I haven't seen that drop yet, unless it's dropped and I'm unaware of it. But basically the first thing we got after the release of LMDE 7 is some updates about the menu. And I think it's probably still going to be a little ways out because they are working on a lot of changes in the system monitoring tool. EVs and dumb liberals in Canada still planning to ban the sale of new ICE vehicles in a couple years. Yeah, I know, right? It's internal combustion engine is ICE. The ICE vehicles, well, California's trying to ban ICE vehicles too. So Chicago. Oh dear. Medicare fraud for flesh wounds. It's just a flesh wound. That's right. Releasing tomorrow morning. Ooh, I have a video releasing tomorrow. No, wait. No. The edited news go out Friday. So, and then I have another. I already scheduled my video for Saturday because I just wanted to make sure I took advantage of all of the useful power functions that I had at the time. All right, we got 51 watching on Zatubies. License spinner. This should like a lawsuit is coming. Let's see. I'm having issues with the Rumble stream. Yeah, let's see. BBC would be all over that tool given the insane stuff that happens in that HQ. I want to be with detail creating it. I can just see one of those journalists now. Let's see. Fell asleep on a chair. Been a long day. And no. Catching up with Matrix. Joined late tonight. Let's see. Don't usually comment unless I have something to add. A little bit sleepy from alcohol and coffee. Are you drinking your Irish cream again? So I was sailing a decade ago. Fish out a copy of Ren and Stimpy Christmas album. I didn't have the Christmas album. I had the other one. There was the one that had the Yak song. There were a couple Canadian songs on it. Checking on the Matrix server. Wonder how Canadians will ID those random people in the woods who ride their moose to work. Is it the syrup ID? Yes. Lock the bank account so they don't comply. That's right. Okay. I don't understand how a party that more than doubled the unemployment rate in their time got even more votes. Because people have gone mad. People have gone utterly mad. You realize entire riots are breaking out in these big cities over Donald Trump literally enforcing the law and getting actual criminals off the street. Okay, this whole Democratic talking point, I don't know if it's Democratic necessarily, it's left-wing lunatic talking point that says Donald Trump's driving down the streets looking for brown people and IDing them. No, every one of these ones, they're going after specific targets. They know right where they are. And every one of them are not only here illegally, but have committed other crimes as well. And they're rioting over getting pedos off the street. It is these people have lost their ever-loving mind. It's insane. But yeah, it's crazy. It is totally crazy. And yes, the Big Don, yes, does a lot of stupid things. Like the last couple days, talk about stupid on a stick. Let's have 50-year mortgages. Well, that's a dumb idea. Stimulus check they've been floating. I don't know. I'm kind of ambivalent on that. You know, if you got enough money to do that, pay down that debt, you know, do something different. I don't know. And there was something else he did really stupid the other day too. I can't remember what it is now. I can't remember. You know, I'm not some MAGA Trump dude here. You know, the only red hat I have says Fedora on it. You know? Although I think I like Donald Trump more than Fedora, but, you know, a red hat or whatever it is, you know. But anyway, there's that. I think we've gotten to the bottom of the comments, though, as well. The kitties have left me and went up front. Oh, that kitty wants a drink of water. All right, I need to fill up the kitty's water dish. All right, guys, we will jump out from here. Thank you guys for watching. We will catch you next time.